Welcome to Cooperville.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Cooperville Live. Hope you are all having a fabulous Tuesday. Mama Joe needs a new phone. Maybe it's on this end. You never know. The interwebs sometimes can be questionable around these parts. It's the Twitch. Damn you, Twitch. Hello, everybody. Again, I hope your day has been great. Hope it's been an ace's day in your book. A good day here. Got my hair's cut. That's fade. That's that skin fade right there. The beard trimmed up. Rocking the Captain Coops. It's been a good day. Let's check in with our fine sponsors. Cooperville Clothing. Got all the good stuff over there. The GFY Parts and Services shirts. They're hot. Got the 3/4 length sleeve. Oh, like it. A little something for everybody, we like to say. And sometimes it's a little passive-aggressive, but we're okay with that. New drop coming up on Friday morning at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, so check it out. CoopervilleClothing.com. Mama Joe, I know you got that Lean Into the Weirdness shirt. That's the good stuff. The aforementioned Captain Coop's Beard Company, beard oils, beard balms, beard butters, and we just actually came out of a meeting talking about even more products, not just for beards, but for other parts. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Even something for the ladies. Ladies stuff. So stay tuned for that coming down the road. But as of right now, that Captain's Quarters, that's the money shot right there. Get the oil, get the balm. We're restocking our supply too. Supplies are limited in Captain's Quarters. That's been the hot ticket right there. So if you know somebody with a beard, perhaps they have a birthday coming up, we also do e-gift cards at CaptainCoops.com. Better beard, better booty, as we like to say, CaptainCoops.com. Midwest Meals, there they are. 16 signature meals. You can build your own. They have protein and veggies and carbs by the pound, depending on what your individual goals are. Looking forward to a little Midwest meal action tonight. You, by the way, can save 10% at checkout with promo code Cooper if you go to MidwestMeals.com. They ship nationwide each and every Monday, so if you get your order in online by Friday, they will get it to your door by the Monday. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Coming up today on the program, country singer-songwriter Matt Jordan will be on board here in just under 10 minutes. So we'll chat it up with Matt, get his story, and progress accordingly from there. By the way, we will be doing some cool stuff, recapping Epic Willie's Adventure. If you missed any part of the show yesterday, you really got an overview of the entire 16-day trip. But had a chance to talk to some of the fellows that were on the trip today. And like, man, but this part and this part, all the things you forget because you're just in it, and you kind of get the highlights, and you're like, oh, that's right, that moment. So we're gonna get some of them fellows on the show to give their point of view on Epic Willie's Adventure coming up here over the next couple of days. So make sure that you're tuned in for that because it was indeed epic. 2,200 miles. 15 days, 10 states, and one Epic Willie's Adventure. Epic Willie's Adventure on Instagram and Facebook, as I've mentioned, going kind of page through. We ended up putting all the stories. We had over 300 story posts over the course of the 2+ weeks that we were there on the trip. And you can kind of just tag or hit the button and follow along on the highlights on the Instagram page and really get an insider's perspective on what it's like to drive around the country in Willie's Jeeps from the 40s and 50s. Because I looked around and we were the only people on Earth doing it. be a part of it, epicwilliesadventure.com, by the way, is the website. So that'll be coming up later on this week. And as we progress, of course, with the series and the documentary, you'll be able to tune into that too. And we have some exclusive access stuff that we're going to be doing as we draw closer to the release date for that. So a lot of exciting stuff going on today. Again, I hope your Tuesday has been fantastic. Always love getting a chance to find fantastic artists online. That's been, from being removed from radio for the better part of 2 years now, I've really discovered more music probably in that time period than I did when I was actually in radio for 20 plus years, just because the avenues are so extensive and artists are doing such a great job of getting their music exposed to people like me who are thirsty for it. So rad stuff. That's how I found Matt Jordan on the Instagram. I see him hanging out in the green room. We're going to bring him into the live stream. There he is. Matt Jordan, welcome, sir. It is good to see you. How are you, my friend?
What's up, brother? I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. I was out of like the world for about 14 days on an epic trip and living without all the amenities. And then I got back and I forgot how great it is to have like running water. Like
I hear you, man.
The simplistic things. I know you had a great weekend as well too, because for the first time in a while, you got a chance to get back on stage with a band and play live music. It's got to feel good to get back out there, man.
It was great, man. We haven't played until this past week. We hadn't played since February. And since February, we hadn't played since 2019. Jeez. So we were craving it, and we had 4 shows in 7 days this past week, and it was great to get on stage again. It felt really good.
What's the like the first night back, the first show of that run? What's that like to be back on after that long hiatus? Did the nerves reappear, or was it just like the energy was so much you just came out and just kicked it?
Well, the nerves didn't reappear so much. The energy was definitely there. It was rusty. Performance-wise, it wasn't our best show. Probably that first one back wasn't. But it was still good, and we knew it was going to be that way. You know, we hadn't played in a while. We've been rehearsing and stuff, but you can't really replicate being on stage in front of a crowd. So it was a little bit rusty, but we knocked the rust off the first show, and we had 3 more to knock out in that week, and it was good, man. It was great.
I think, talking to a lot of artists on this show, but also coming from a fan's perspective, I mean, they're equally as energized to get out and see a show over the course of the last couple months, you've been able to do them. And the artists, like the rust part doesn't seem to matter. They're like, do it like Willie Nelson and forget a verse. Like, we don't care. We're here to have a good time.
Yeah, and that's how it felt. A handful of these shows were not like our people. We were opening for another artist in Columbia, which is not my hometown, and one of them was like a benefit show for veterans and stuff. And so it wasn't like our people. It was like built-in crowds. And it was encouraging to see that, even though we felt like maybe we were a bit rusty. I think people were just excited to have music again and have something to do,
That's awesome, man. Well, it's got to feel great. But I want to take you back to music finding its way into your life and something that you decided to pursue, because it's one of those decisions that, when you see, especially when you look at artists that are like hugely successful, you're like, that's the ticket, man. That's the jam.
Yeah.
I'm Garth playing, Nashville on a holiday weekend. It's amazing, but the journey is it's a grind, and technology has kind of changed the way that artists get their music out. But for you to get into music, when did it first find its way into your life that you decided maybe this was something that you'd put a little more effort into?
So music found its way into my life at a very young age. My dad raised me on Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, the Eagles, Jackson Browne, all those American rock greats. And, growing up, that was, as far as I was concerned, that was the best music in the world. I didn't listen to the stuff that my friends were listening to. It was all about my dad's music. And so from a young age, he was teaching me. He wrote songs back in the day, and he was teaching me about why Bruce Springsteen's such a good writer. He does this here and there in his lyrics and stuff like that. So I was always kind of listening to music differently than a lot of people, really focused on the songwriting and the lyrics and the storytelling. I played guitar as a kid, like a lot of kids do, and didn't really take it seriously until my sophomore year of high school. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. Both my siblings went off to college, and they were my best friends. And when they left, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I picked up guitar and started writing songs and put together a band in high school, and we were horrible. But I think that's when I got the bug. About 16 or so, I started writing, and by 19 or 20, I was pretty committed to going and figuring out how to do this thing.
So when you're 16, what do you write about? I mean, it's a weird,
Oh
like, that's
man,
that transitional age when you're like kind of shedding boyhood and kind of like starting to
yeah,
learn some adult things that you're still like, but it's cool. Like I'm still able to, like, live under my dad's roof. But what were
right.
you writing about back when you first started putting pen to paper? What were the songs about? Pretty
Well, you
girls?
write a lot. You write a lot about girls. And I didn't know anything about girls, but I wrote about them anyway.
Hmm.
You write about. Honestly, when I started out, I was trying to write what everybody else was doing. I didn't know how to write lyrics well yet and tell my story in a way that would be interesting to somebody else. So I was trying to replicate what other people were doing, and I didn't do it well. It took a lot of years and a lot of really bad songs to land on my first one. I'm surprised I stuck with it long enough to get a good one, because there were a lot of bad songs before there was any good ones.
Do you remember ever during especially those first couple of years writing a song specifically for a girl? Like, hey, I wrote
I do.
I wrote this song for you, lady.
I do. I didn't tell her.
Ooh.
I did write a song about a girl when I was a sophomore. I ended up dating her my senior year of high school, and I didn't think that would ever happen when I was a sophomore. So I did write a song about her, kind of when I was crushing on her, I
Hmm.
guess. And I don't think I ever told her that I wrote anything about her, because it was embarrassing enough that I didn't want to play it for anybody. Definitely not the girl I was into.
So it
Um,
wasn't going to be about the sentiment. Like I wrote a song about you, and then you would be like, but I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to
well,
sing
I
it for you.
didn't know. I didn't even tell her that. It was
No.
like, I don't want you to know this, because if you knew this, you would not like me. So it was embarrassing.
Nice. So you
Yeah.
you get through high school and you kind of feel like this is where you feel like your trajectory of your life goes. Like what are the next steps? Obviously, growing songwriting, but where do you go
Mhm.
from graduation to beyond?
Yeah, so I graduated high school. I followed my brother to college at Butler University in
Mhm.
Indianapolis. And I wasn't at that point. I wasn't like sold yet on like I want to do music, but I
Mm.
was still writing. And my brother and I kind of did a little band thing when we were in college together, and we weren't great. He's got a great voice. Our songs weren't there yet, and neither one of us is that great of a player on anything. So we weren't great. We did a little bit here and there. And halfway through college, after my sophomore year of college, by that point I had been writing a lot and
Mm.
spending a lot of my free time when everyone else was going to parties and stuff, writing songs, and ended up transferring to Belmont in
Mm.
Nashville halfway through college and finished out school there. And that's when it got, more serious, was when I actually got to Nashville.
I always love hearing the story about the move to Nashville, and it's cool that it was education took you to that city. But what, like,
Mhm.
your first impressions of Nashville, especially when you start getting intertwined with the songwriters that are there, the musicians that are there, like what
Mhm.
is your initial take on Nashville? Is there fear? Like what were you vibing on when you first kind of made your way there and were a part of the city?
It was equal parts excitement and fear.
Mm.
I had no idea what I was getting into. I knew nothing about Nashville. I'd only been one time before I decided to move there. You know, y- you're I was 19 or 20 when I moved to
Mm.
Nashville, and I was really naive. I thought I was better than I was. I thought I was going to come in town and just things were going to take off. And I wasn't even close to ready when I
Yeah.
moved there. Um, so I was kind of scared about, I don't know this world. I was also excited that I thought I had something really great,
Mhm.
and I was going to move to Nashville and everything would take off. And obviously, that's not how it happens. That's not how it happened for me. But that naivety kind of gave me some energy to go give it a shot at least, and that's what I needed, was just to get there. And so even if it was unfounded, unjustified excitement or confidence, it at
Mhm.
least got me to Nashville. And a lot happened after that.
Right. When you're among, again, I talked about like a lot of the talent that's in there. Like, do you start finding your way into pockets of songwriters and other musicians? Like, did you find kind of quickly associate with like, oh, I go to this place and I know this group is here. I go to this writing session and this group is here. Did you gravitate towards a lot of groups when you got down and had some dirt under your feet for a while?
Yeah, you kind of find your circle
Mm.
at some point. It took a little bit of time. Nashville, co-writing is a huge thing in Nashville,
Yeah.
and I wasn't I had never done like a for real co-write. My brother and I had written together before. My high school band and I had written together before, but
Mhm.
really up until Nashville, 98% of the time I was writing by myself. And so it took a little bit of time to get comfortable with the concept of co-writing. I started taking voice lessons when I moved there, pretty early when I moved there, and the lady who was coaching me, um, she put me in touch with a couple of writers, and I started writing with them. And it's interesting, the circle that I kind of ended up running in back then, a lot of those people aren't even making music anymore. So I've kind of had to re-find a circle in the last couple of years and find new people to write with, because I'm not in Nashville anymore. I'm back home in St. Louis now.
Mhm.
And a lot of the people that I did write with 7 or 8 years ago when I lived there, they're not even doing it, you know. So I
Right.
kind of had to re-find a new circle since I moved home, and I still get to Nashville about once a month, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a pretty good group of writers now that, you know, I'm always looking for more, but um, we're writing some good songs. I found some really good guys to
Mhm.
write with now.
Did you ever? I mean, talk about people that have that you started with that have taken the exit ramp out of music. Did you ever? Did you have any of those moments? You know, during your time there, and then moving back, where you're like,
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I don't. Yes, I think the answer is probably yes. You know, moving back was really discouraging.
mm,
Leaving Nashville to come back to St. Louis was, it kind of felt like the dream was dead
mm,
when I made that decision. I got married. We wanted to start a family. Both our
yeah,
families are in St. Louis, and we wanted to get home and be around our families to start our family. And moving back, it felt like, well, I didn't make it, you
right,
know, and nothing happened. And I wrote some songs, put out some music, whatever, but it's back home now. It's back to the real world. And so it wasn't like oh, I'm going to quit, I'm going to give up. It was just like, I don't see how this is ever going to go
right,
from St. Louis. You know, this was still in the early days of Spotify.
mm,
You know, the world was different when we moved home. It's a lot easier now to kind of chase it from anywhere,
yeah.
you know, and it's easier today than it was 7 years ago, 6 years ago when I moved home. And I've learned a lot that allows me to still do it from here. So that was one moment when I don't know that I was like giving up on it, but I just felt like realistically this isn't going to happen. You know, we had a daughter in 2017, a couple years after we moved home, and um, I had a band in St. Louis at the time that we were playing a little bit with, and when my daughter came, the band took some time off and
Mm,
never really got back together, and that was another moment where it was like, all right, thought maybe we had something there, and
right.
I don't think we do, you know. So yeah, there's been a handful of moments where it's like, all right, I think this is the end, and then something happens, and I meet somebody new, and start a new band, write some new songs, whatever, and keep going.
Do you feel like, and kids always add, you know, a great element into, I think, the songwriting, because it's now it adds to your story
Mhm,
and emotion and feelings and ties to things, and marriage obviously does the same thing. Do you feel like
mhm.
that the songwriting not changed, but it's got, you know, there's more layers to it now, because you're like, I know this feeling now. I didn't know this feeling back in 2016. Now I understand this feeling.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. I think yes, in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
it changed my perspective on writing, how I approach music in general,
Mm-hmm.
everything. It changed. Kids change everything, you know. Yes, there are a lot of emotions that I experience now as a dad of two,
Yeah.
that I didn't experience before I was a dad, and I'm willing to say some things that I probably wasn't willing to say, you know, before I had kids. I'm a
Right.
bit more of a softie now than I used to be, you know.
Yeah.
You hold your daughter for the first time, and I think that happens, you know. So yeah, I think from an emotional standpoint, I'm willing to say things differently than I would have 4 years ago before my daughter was born. As far as approaching the career and stuff like that, I'm more aware now of, there's, you know, two little kids who are dependent on me, and they're watching what I do,
Mm.
and so in every way my perspective is always, what would my kids think about this, you know, what does it mean for them to see their dad leaving and going and playing shows, what does it mean for, you know, if I'm going to release this song, is that something I'm going to want my daughter to hear, you know, because
Right.
she listens to my music, you know, stuff like that. So it changes everything in a really good way. It allows me to really focus in and make sure I'm putting out work that I'm proud of and that my kids would be proud of, you know. But yeah, it definitely changed my perspective on writing and everything else related to music, you know.
Yeah, and I imagine the balance, and that kind of coincides with having a different perspective when you are very aware of all of the decisions, of all the lyrics, of all of everything that you do. But it is, I imagine that makes balancing everything a little bit easier because when you have your priorities, in a list, you can say this feeds this feeds this makes sure that this still continues to go around in circles. Do you feel like you have a good center when it comes to balancing the fatherhood and being a husband and music and writing and all the other things that you have to try to keep in the air?
Totally, and that absolutely came from kids. In a
Yeah.
lot of ways, I think people think like, oh, you have kids and the dream dies. And for me, it was actually I had kids, and it made me really focus because I had a lot less time to give to music
Right.
per week. So before kids, I could write all evening and all night and stuff like that after work and things like that. And when kids came, it's like, well, I don't get to sit down and write till 8 o'clock at night or something when they're in bed. And so it shortened my time, which made my time way more focused.
Yeah.
So yeah, that priority of family first for me has really kind of made me appreciate the time that I get to give to music, and so
Right.
that time is really intentional and focused, and it's been really good for my productivity in writing and growing a digital online fan base, things like that. I don't waste a lot of time when I'm supposed to be spending time on music.
Yeah. How is when you talk about the digital footprint, and we talked about Spotify not really being a thing, even 7 years ago. A lot of the other avenues were things, but they weren't as I don't want to say easily accessible. But hey, if I want to hear a new song by Matt Jordan, I just tell my robot now, and it
Yeah.
just plays your music.
Yeah.
But as far
Yeah.
as like the social media aspect of it, do you find that interaction is just another layer of how you grow and connect as an artist and a songwriter when you're talking about your fan base on all the social media platforms?
100%, man. I'm not that great at social media. I'm trying to get better. You're supposed to post however many times a day or a week or whatever, and I'm trying to figure all that out. But man, it's powerful. With Spotify is super powerful.
Yeah.
I hated Spotify for so long because they don't pay artists what I think they should.
Same.
But I kind of had a mindset change on that a couple years ago that, hey, this is an opportunity to get in front of a lot of people that I have no other access to. And that's
Right.
what's happened. There's this app that we have as artists that we can see, Spotify data, who's listening to our music, things like that. And I can see my top listened cities, who's listening to me. And 2 of my top 5 are in Australia. It's like Perth, Australia, and Sydney. I've never been to Australia,
Huh.
I would have no access to a fan base in Australia if not for Spotify. And so, yeah, the reason that independent musicians like myself are able to still give it a go today is because of Spotify and social media, because we have access to anybody.
Yeah. It's cool to think about how all the layers of being an artist, how analytics has become like this you would never have known you have, a fan base in Australia.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh, I guess I can post something about Australia. It's
Yeah.
weird to look at like the back end of views and downloads and listens and look at the globe and be like, wow, we got people all over the place. Tools that when you were probably thinking about becoming an artist or listening to the boss, the boss didn't have any analytics. He was like, I'm just going to go
Right.
and play and people are going to show up. Now you're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a strategery to it. And
Totally.
I think when you talk about having to balance all the things that you have in the air, what a valuable tool to have at your disposal, because you can be like, I see when you're plotting out a tour or a short run, we have a fan base in Boise. Who knew?
Right.
Like, we're going to go in and check that place out. So a cool resource to have at your back pocket.
It's really, really helpful. Yeah, it saves us a lot of time on going to play shows that people aren't going to come to.
I would like to do a little marketing ad and run it right in the middle of the town that we are going to be in
Exactly.
in a week.
Exactly.
5th of July, is it the latest single that you have out right now?
It is.
Great
Yes, sir.
song, dude. Tell
Thanks,
me about the process, the writing process for this, and getting this. And it's always got to be great to get music out and having the avenues to do so, but this one in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's my favorite part of the whole business is going into the studio, recording something, hearing it come from my idea to what my producer and I come up with and putting it out in the world. That's the most fun part. But 5th of July is it's a song that it's about an old friend that she and I were real good friends in high school, and when I was dating someone, she was single and vice versa. We just could never quite land on our time in together, so we never got a chance to be together. And I think we would have been good together if we had that chance. But it was kind of inspired by her, and I was kind of thinking about that story. And you know, a lot of people from my past show up in my songs, and I don't still have feelings for them or anything, but it's stuff to draw on, you know. So anyway, I was kind of thinking about her and I, and came up with that hook. We were late to the game, like fireworks on the 5th of July,
Yeah.
you know. And I texted it to one of my friends he's one of the guys who used to write songs and doesn't really anymore, but we're still really good friends. And I sent him that hook. I was like, hey, do you like this? Just because I like to bounce ideas off of people before I dive all in and try to write a song. He's like, yeah, man, I actually came up with that hook like 3 years ago and I sent it to you. And I was like, did you really? I don't remember that. And he screenshotted the text message. He sure enough did. He went back 3 years in our texts, which
Wow.
is a lot, and found it. And he did. And so I was like, well, do you want to write it together? He was like, well, I don't really write anymore, but here's the lyrics I had to it. And he went and found his old memo from it. And I pulled a few of his lines and wrote around it, and pulled a verse from back when my brother and I were in a band together. He wrote the song that had a great verse in it that was not otherwise a great song. And I texted him. I was like, hey, man, can I use that last verse? And he's like, yeah, take it. So it was kind of a co-write between me, my brother, and my old friend who doesn't write anymore. And we didn't ever talk on the phone or get in person about it. I just kind of pulled all these ideas together and put it in a song.
No, it's super rad. I mean, it's super rad to hear like the back end of that story, that how it all, but the message still. I mean, that goes to show what a great like songwriting and storytelling, like that experience that you had, and that your no longer writing buddy had, and that the song lyric from your brother from way back in the day.
Yeah.
Like it all molds together to
Yeah.
accurately tell a story that that many people experience. And that's the great thing about people who write songs as storytellers. Like clearly it's relatable to those three people, and it must be relatable to a bunch of other people, which it totally is. It's got just a great, like, oh yeah, like everybody can find that person. Like go, just wasn't quite the time.
Yep.
But a great song, and just so everybody knows, it's available everywhere to download and listen to. We talked about the shows that you had a chance to do over the course of this last weekend. Getting into the fall time, like what does the rest of 2021 into 2022 look like for you?
So the next couple months, we don't have a whole lot of shows going on right now. We have a couple of like private events on the calendar and stuff like that, which are always fun to play, and there's good money in them. Trying to book a little bit more for this fall. My wife is pregnant with baby number 3.
Congratulations.
That baby is coming. Thank you. That baby's coming in early December. So I'm betting that probably late November to January-ish, I'll be not playing shows for a bit.
Maybe I would recommend not.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
babe. It's on the calendar. I gotta go.
Gotta go. Yeah. So we're trying to book, a little bit for October and early November still,
Right.
and then we'll take a little bit of a break at the end of the year and hit the shows hard again in 2022. The nice thing about those breaks when you're not playing shows is you get to write and record and network and do all that kind of business stuff that you need to do. So I'll spend a lot of time writing and hopefully producing and putting together a lot of new music. I intend to release more songs than anybody else in 2022. That is my goal. So I have a lot of songs to write.
Well, and you also will have a lot more things to talk about with baby number 3 on the way, because I got one, so I can only tell, like, I can only write songs up until that point. You're like 1, and then balancing 2, and then
It's like I literally never sleep anymore. That's what the songs will probably be about.
it will be. It'll be Sleepless Nights by Matt Jordan. Feel free to use that.
That's the next album.
That's free. This song was written on approximately 0 sleep and 43 Monster Energy drinks a day.
Yes, exactly.
Life's about balance. Hey, man, thank you so much for jumping on the show and telling your story. Yeah. It's a great one, and I wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations on baby number 3. 5th of July is out right now for everybody to go listen to. Let people know where they can find you on the socials, website, all that stuff.
Yep. MattJordanSongwriter.com is my website. You can find all my socials on there, but Instagram is Matt Jordan Music. I think that's Facebook and stuff too. I'm trying to get on. I'm on TikTok. Come follow me on TikTok. I got nobody over there, so come hang out with me on TikTok. I look like an old man trying to be relevant, but come see.
And it feels like there's one of those things that you like have to do. You're like, I got to be on TikTok because.
Yeah, I'm on there begrudgingly, but you kind of have to do it. So I'm trying to figure it out.
That's how you grow the product. You just do awkward things, and you can be like, learning how to do these dance moves.
Most things I do are awkward, and you can come watch those on TikTok. So.
Follow Matt Jordan on TikTok for all the awkwardness. Oh,
yeah,
hey,
I'm there.
Awesome, man. Hey, take care of yourself. We're gonna be down if you're in Nashville at any point in January. We're taking a trip down there. We're taking the show down to Music Row. We're gonna be down there for the first week in January. If you happen to be in the neck of the woods, we'll stay in touch and swing down. We'll get you live on the show from Nashville.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, brother. Take care of yourself. My best
Good
to you, the family, the kids, and good luck with number 3. You got this.
Thanks,
bro.
man.
You
Thanks
got
for
this.
having me. Have a good one.
Anytime. Thanks, Matt. Matt Jordan, 5th of July is the name of the song. Go and give it a listen. Number 3. That's more power to him, man. More power to you. But a great analogy about how you think that additions of craziness in children and things get adding it onto your plate, and you're like, it's just too much. When really what he's talking about is it really makes you super hyper focused. Like, I understand that I have this amount of time to accomplish this thing. It's like when you have a deadline of 2 weeks and you don't start today, you start the night before. It's the same as if somebody said, hey, the deadline's tomorrow, you have to get this done. If you super hyper focus in that window of time that you have, you know, that's how things get done. That's how Matt Jordan's doing it. And 5th of July, check out that song. It's a fantastic one, available everywhere. Hanging in the STL. Probably a Cardinals fan, but we won't bring that up. Cool. Thank you all for tuning in and cranking us up. Joe, good to see you on there. Joe's on the Twitch and on the YouTube. Ruth, Kentucky. Hello from Kentucky. Aloha from Kentucky. And Mama Joe. Always a pleasure to have you all on. Tomorrow we're back recapping Epic Willie's adventure. We're going to try to get Phil or Adam on. We'll have somebody on tomorrow, and we'll talk all the things. But until then, have a great Monday or Tuesday night, whatever day it is. We out of here, peace. Those are the links to the socials if you don't follow us currently. Cooperville Live on Insta, on Twitch, obviously, YouTube, the Facebook. Peace!